Hey guys, Death Angel here, and I have a very important document that goes with the one that I just put up before. The actual truth of everything. I mean, if you look around and look at the truthers that you follow, how many of them show you the truth ever? How many of them do the work? Very few. A lot of them talk about doing the work while they lecture you, but they don't actually do the work. And they beg for your money while doing nothing but showing you what the news already shows you. Anyway, we're going to keep going. This is from the Defense Intelligence Agency, Soviet and Czechoslovakian parapsychology research. And I'm just showing the top part to show you that it's a valid document. And then we're going to skip down all the way down to, they removed some stuff, but this document ties into exactly why the people are rioting, exactly why we can see when other people can't see anything. Because we have abilities, and it's already been tested right here. And some people don't, and they fall for it. But right here's the part. There's all kinds of stuff you can read in here. Telepathy in animals, but we're going to go to telepathy in man. And it's going to be a little bit of a dead zone because if I scroll while the mic's button's on, you know what I mean, it'll cut the sound out. So we're going to scroll down and find it real quick, and then I'll start again. And here's the psychotronic generator research. This is exactly what was in the document that went up before this. These tie it together. All the stuff. Remote viewing, the effort technique, everything. And go through here and read and see how much of this applies to you. And you'll be surprised. You're much more than just a fucking bag of blood and bones. But let's scroll down and get started. Hang on. Oh, and this also right here is very important. And right here, telepathy, energy transfer in man. Oh, wait, hang on, that's not the right spot. Right here. I did have the right spot, but I'll edit out that long pause. But I'm going to start right here and read down. Let me get the screen running. Over the past 25 years, Soviet scientists have reported that abilities such as extrasensory perception, clairvoyance, and telepathy have been demonstrated in the laboratory under rigorously controlled conditions. Many of these claims have been published in the Soviet technical and popular literature. Just how forward the Soviets have gone in their efforts to learn about the mechanisms of human telepathy is not known. If the Soviet reports are even partly true, and if mind-to-mind thought transference can be used for such applications as interplanetary communications or the guiding of interplanetary spacecraft, the Soviets have accomplished a scientific breakthrough of tremendous significance. This document is from 1975, and this is why I get aggravated, and I'm aggravated again, because video after video is bullshit fucking truthers begging you for whatever, selling you bullshit, and they don't do a fucking thing. They don't do any of the work. They don't research and discover any truth. They feed you bullshit, and this is a very important document for you to understand. For many years, the attempt to study telepathic phenomena was denounced in the Soviet Union as mysticism and idealism. From 1922 to 1959, however, this attitude gradually changed. And this right here is just the history of when it started. This goes back over 100 years, guys. They've known this. They've studied us every step of the way, like a rat in a box. But it's going to take me a second to skip around because it's a kind of wordy and long document. I'll leave the document in the description as always for you guys, but this is very important. After 1959, large numbers of Soviet scientists began investigating telepathic communication. In 1965, a bioinformation department was formed at the Moscow section of the Scientific Technical Society of Radio Engineering and Telecommunications. And this just goes through the studies. These are the different hypotheses based on the information that they found. The meta-thero hypothesis, borrowed from the French parapsychology, this presupposes the existence of some unknown energy, the oscillations of which can be detected only by special organs of cryptosynthetic sensitivity possessed by persons endowed with parapsychic abilities. According to this theory, the psychic energy hypothesis, bioelectrical changes in the working brain of the inductor are transformed into psychic energy, which is transformed back again into bioelectric charges in the receiving brain of the recipient. And this one right here, this hypothesis, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it's about gravity somehow being involved and how they were trying to do their cybernetic systems. They've been studying us for years, but they can actually capture our actual energy that we give off, all life's energy. The psychotropic generators that are in the document before this one that already went up. We are so far from knowing all the forces of nature and their various modes of action that it would be unworthy of the philosopher to deny phenomena simply because they are inexplicable to the present state of our knowledge. The more difficult it is to acknowledge their existence, the greater the care in which we must study these phenomena. And they did. And here Vasiliev himself said, "It has happened more than once in the history of science that the establishment of new facts that were unexplainable by what was already known gave us a glimpse of unforeseen aspects of existence." And this document's incredible. And this is where it goes to the paradoxes and the superstitions, how it's not superstitious, how we do all have energy. We all have it, not just me, not just you, everybody does, but people are blocked and locked away from the bullshit. Numerous Soviet experiments in human telepathic communications followed Rogan's work. Rapid Soviet advances in electronics, cybernetics, bionics, and neurophysiology brought new techniques to the study of telepathic phenomena. By 1970, the prime objective of the Soviet telepathic research was reproducibility of the results, and Soviet scientists now say that in the future they will be able to make simple use of telepathic resources and to develop, direct, and control telepathic processes as well. And that's what's very important, because as we go down, you're going to see they've already experimented and they can actually tap into the actual mental stream, like the psychic stream that we have, and plant thoughts and emotions. That's how the people are controlled. It's more than just images on the screen. That's what the fucking towers are for. That's what a million signals a second will do to a human being. The most obvious trend of the current Soviet and Czech telepathy research is that it is now casually oriented rather than directed toward pragmatic attempts to apply observed but little understood phenomena. The previous cart before the horse approach was not, however, an illogical one, since it led them to theorize that telepathic effects may be based on subtle, unidentified forms of energy or non-energy interactions. The trend towards the theoretical development of models for cybernetic systems incorporating psychotronic phenomena has been augmented by a psychotronic model of man proposed by Joseph Wolff of Prague. As an integral part of the psychomatic picture of human existence, a psychotronic model of man is an entirely unique contribution to the study of the concept of man. from the anthropological viewpoint, as well as broader aspects that cover the comprehensive investigation of human existence. Such a model is needed within the framework of other human sciences, particularly uh, anthropology and psychology. The psychotronic model of man, based on the present knowledge of psychology, anthropology, and the medical sciences, not only offers an entirely new concept of man as an individual and as a species of living beings, but also permits new approaches to the solution of human psychosomatic disturbances and defects. But they're not talking about helping anybody, they're talking about controlling everybody. And right here, I'm going to read this so you can see the pictures below. They're right here. They've already studied how it is that people individually, all the way up to groups, cultures, the whole bit. Right here. You'll have to go over this again. Type 1, or the ego, for example, is a psychotronic model of man as an individual, a sort of psychotronic unit, a basic element or initial point. Type 2, called identical, is the ideal type of psychotronic and psychomatic identification between two individuals. Type 3, Platonic, is the ideal type of purely psychic and psychotronic connection. Types 4 and 5 can be called telepathic with minimal and maximal psychosomatic coupling. Here, a different theoretical interpretation based on the assumption that there exist two different modes of telepathic transfer is also feasible. Types 6, 7, and 8 are characterized by some genetic or psychotronic coupling among several individuals, relatives, families, etc. Types 9 and 10 can be regarded as examples of higher psychotronic coupling involving many individuals, whole towns, cities, etc. Applications of such models will be feasible only with perfect mathematical physical tools and a corresponding system of psychotronic knowledge. So they've hidden this from everybody, and they've already studied it and modeled it out, and it's right here. I'm going to scroll down. There's the individual. Notice the symbols used. Biohazard symbol, see that? The biohazard isn't it's us being able to communicate with each other. See? And there's whole groups of people. And you'll have to study this yourself, but it's pretty incredible, dude. Information found here is found nowhere else by any of the frauds, anywhere. And I'm about to release another one after this one about exosomes. It got deleted when I got banned. And right here, this will let you know that you're a slave. They've known you're a slave. They designed the entire system to be that way. Excuse me. Recently, the most important sources of new questions concerning man has arisen from the need to humanize the technical sciences, where man is often subordinated to the operation of machinery and to the technocratic apparatus, rather than the other way around, specifically where the human factor is completely relegated to the background and where human activity remains only on the fringe of human existence. You see what I'm saying? All your activities, everything about you, your family, everything you love has been pushed just to the very edge, the outside of existence. While they have all the data, they know what's going on. And we do too now. Specifically where the human factor is completely relegated to the background and where human activity remains only on the fringe of human existence. Human shortcomings, defects, and failures are the most frequent. Technological dehumanization may have affected not only individuals but entire groups and perhaps even all of society. Wolff thinks that the primitive peoples, i.e. the ethnic groups of aboriginals who still live at the lowest cultural and economic levels in the world and who belong to the so-called primitive proliterate and pre-class societies, might be one of the most rewarding sources for studying psychic phenomena and for modeling the psychotronic profiles of man, since they have not been culturally dehumanized by technology. And that's how we're able to see too. When you drop the love of all the bullshit and you see through all the bullshit, you drop the love of money, a whole new set of information comes in. Which is why I looked for this stuff up. I needed to figure out a reason why I could fucking see what was going on 100% accurately 6 months ahead of everybody. If you go to my BitChute channel and you see when I started warning about COVID and all this bullshit, it was back December 1st, before anybody else, which is why they banned me. And it's not about who comes first. It's about all the bullshit from December 1st till now that you have all been fed by the frauds. That's what counts. That's what matters. None of them do truth. They do cash. Czech investigator of Prague suggests that primitive levels exist in all human minds and that there is a repressive nature to telepathic phenomena. By regression, he means primitivization of behavior. Oh, that's exactly what I was just talking about before I screwed that whole fucking word up. A return to older psychic functions on the ontogenetic plane. This behavior change is characterized by the abandonment of and withdrawal from the rational components of the human psyche, a complete detachment from reality or from the perceived environment, breaking away from the bullshit. The end effect of this detachment from reality is a spontaneous sinking into a state that can be characterized as one of primordial empathy, waking up. This is waking up being described scientifically. Although whatever describes the parameters for obtaining certain levels of regression in modern man, his theory does not encompass any of the concepts of biological energy transfer. Instead, he appears to accept the theory that the human brain is analog to a highly sophisticated data bank, which all lives of experiences and impressions, consciously perceived or subliminally registered, are stored. Idea of telepathic communication involves a high level of empathy between individuals. When such empathy exists, he feels that information transfer occurs as a result of nearly instantaneous and simultaneous processing of similar stored information, bits, by both sender and receiver. The net result is a consciousness of opinion concerning the telepathic message's content, which is why, and I'm not blowing my own horse here, other people can do that too, which is why I use video and audio in my most popular videos. I'm able to just take my thoughts and turn them into videos and communicate them to you using nothing but images and sound. And you're able to receive them and understand what I'm saying with no words being spoken. You understand what I'm saying? Therefore, you have it too. His theory is based on a great deal of research. The Soviet and Czech literature on psychology, creativity, and the evolution of human existence is extensive. A huge volume of data has been compiled on the brain's memory capacity. The Czechs claim that 1973 experiments employing LSD have led them to the conclusion that all of man's activities and experiences, whether perceived intensively or less intensively, are stored. All of our actions and everything's already been played out. They are now investigating the quantity of the information the brain can process per unit of time, its bits capacity, and how this becomes manifest at the level of conscious and the unconscious. The objective of this research is to make the process of cognition more economical. The process of thinking more economical. See what I'm saying? The objective of this research is to make you think in a way and act in a way that is more economical for them. Czech scientists have likened the neuron to an integrated modular element that contains a resistor, a capacitor, and perhaps as many as 1,000 times 7 billion, or 7 trillion semiconductor elements in operation, and another 7 trillion in reserve. The brain has about 14 billion nerve cells. If only 10 billion are able to receive information at any one time, and the transmission capacity of a nerve fiber is 14 bits per second, then this means that the brain is able to receive 140 billion bits of information per second. Thus, the memory capacity of the brain seems to be 1,000,000 times greater than that of current computers. For ordinary perception and deliberation, 14 to 16 bits a second are adequate. But for more complicated perception and deliberation, such as the solution of mathematical problems, etc., about 20 bits per second are needed. The brain's great reserve bit capacity may indicate that unconsciously and subliminally, man may be perceiving far more information than what has been assumed previously. Experiments with known telegnostics seem to confirm this, since they apparently process and evaluate a huge quantity of information within an unimaginably short time. The Soviet-Czech team approach to parapsychology research, not widely used as yet in the West, will advance them into direct man-machine communication, creative computers, and eventually into cyborgs, i.e. human inductors coupled with physical psychotronic instrumentation, which is what they're doing right now. This document's from 1975. This will help you to understand what's going on. Your phone, your computer, every fucking cell tower around you that emits signals is controlling not only your fucking mind and your behavior. For most people, it didn't work on all of us, but it's also controlling the very stream you have coming into you. You understand? Like David Icke says, perception deception is exactly what's going on. But here's the actual scientific proof. And here's the models right here where they have already modeled it all out. Right here, telepathic behavior modification. Behavior modification through telepathic means is in itself applied research. The changes or alterations of human activity desired can be either beneficial or detrimental to the recipient. Soviet research in this field of behavior modification by telepathy, dating from the early 1920s through the early 1970s, has had one major objective: application of techniques. Now, the other documents I've already put up here have already shown that our government works directly with the Soviet government, works directly with all of them. I've already shown the documents. And this is what the end goal is. Application of techniques to apply that to you and me and everybody else. In telepathy research, unlike research in most scientific disciplines, the applied phase preceded the basic phase. To put it simply, this is why telepathy is still called a phenomenon, both in the USSR and the West. The phenomenon of telepathy has many applications, one of which is behavior modification. Basic research, therefore, applies to the phenomenon itself. This is covered in Part 1, Section 2, and Part 2, Psychotronic Generator Research, which I'm not going through all of this. I'm giving you a preview of the document so you guys can read it yourself. It's the only way we'll all figure it out together. You got to do the work yourself, too. According to Ostrander and Schroeder, the ability to telepathically produce a sleep-like states, obliteration of one's consciousness from a distance of a few meters to over 1,000 miles became the most thoroughly tested and perfected Soviet contribution to international parapsychology. International. One world government. They've been doing it in 1975. It's been the plan the whole time. Parapsychologists in Leningrad and Moscow demonstrated the telepathic manipulation of consciousness and correlated it with systemic EEG recordings. The team found that EEG recordings change dramatically when the telepathic impulses contain a message affecting human emotions. Transmission of several successive emotions of a negative character elicited the appearance of cross-excitation of the brain. It changed the spontaneous EEG character to the tired state of the brain, dominated by slow, hypersynchronized waves of the delta and theta type. Precipitants of unpleasant emotions followed by positive emotions. Feelings of calmness and cheerfulness regained normalized EEGs within 1 to 3 minutes. I mean, they've got your emotions pegged to the point where they can just flip a switch within minutes. You gotta break out of this bullshit or you're never going to get out of it. You have to learn the difference between real truth and frauds and fake fucking frauds. Driving around in your truck and bitching is not truth. Bitching that you got demonetized from playing CNN clips and showing nobody anything but bullshit and repeating about rights every day after day after day is not truth. It's not even anything. It's bullshit. It's garbage. Outside of the Soviet and Czech research on the manipulative possibilities of the PK and psychotronic generators, the emphasis on manipulation by means of telepathy still involves the use of hypnotism. That's where the TV comes in. Within 1 minute, puts you in an alpha state. Many Soviet and Czech scientists are using this technique as a means to try to identify the carrier of telepathy, but others may be conducting such research for more devious reasons. Yeah, it's right there. But I'm going to skip down now because I don't want this to be an hour long. I want to get this up quick enough for you guys to see it. I'm going to scroll down real fast and show you all the studies you can look up. There's literally at the bottom of this document 50 other studies you could look up. Anything that interests you about this shit. Since it stopped right here, this is very important too. Also called Pavlida generators, that's the person mentioned in the document that goes up right before this. They can actually capture your life force that you give off. You give off a life force. And they can actually harness it. 1975. And this part talks about how the critics, it's influenced by ideology. And that's before, but it's clearly visible now that it's been used all around the world. They flipped a switch and people ride it all around the world. Do you understand what I'm saying? And right here, the appendix, personnel and facilities. It goes through all the scientists and doctors that studied all this shit all the way back by name. Every single one. They've been working on this shit for over 100 years, guys. And right here, so here's some more studies you can look up. This is what I was talking about. Not this one. This one's secret. I mean, you can try to find it, but if you do, don't show anybody. And right here, it's been studied all the way back, 1970, unclassified. Psychic discoveries behind the Iron Curtain. Right here, fiction or reality. That's one I want to find also. Right here, here's even more. See what I'm saying? Studies everywhere. You can just search them up and find them. More truth in 30 minutes than you've ever been given by the frauds. And here's one that they hid in the National Enquirer. Right behind Bat Boy, probably. 1972. And that's about it. I'm going to go ahead and get this up. I have to go search real fast and find the PDF again so I can link it in the description. But this is hard to understand. Go over both the videos. This is how you are controlled. This is how millions upon millions of our people are manipulated. And once again, you can see right here, this is from the Defense Intelligence Agency, prepared by the U.S. Army Medical Intelligence and Information Agency, Office of the Surgeon General. Approved for release back in 2002. None of them showed you any of this stuff. But I'm kind of aggravated, so I'm going to leave it there. And I'm going to leave the document in the description. And you guys, please help support real truthers that are doing the work, digging up the documents, showing everybody everything. And learn the difference, please, between truth and fake frauds. It's very important, especially now. But other than that, Death Angel out. See you guys later.